I got a question this week that I thought was interesting, and I haven't done a video on it. And it comes from a subscriber who said, Mary Jo, I'm wondering if there's something within the mental health realm where a person is just so extremely sensitive, and they're sensitive to rejection in particular. So even if something isn't meant in a rejecting format, that will be their trigger if they feel rejected. And the answer to that is yes, you can have a sensitivity to rejection. It's more common with other mental disorders like anxiety or panic disorder or depression, but it can stand on its own too. And it usually is more common if that child or that adult now grew up in a home where their feelings were never talked about, or basically if they were never able to say their feelings were heard or they felt bad about things. Maybe they had parents who could see the child would get upset easily if they were left out of something, which is hard for all kids. But if you have a rejection sensitivity, can be especially hard. And I think a lot of times in a way for those parents to help that child cope, they just said, okay, well, we got to get on with it, or we can't cry all day, or whatever they said at that time. But the bottom line is the child was never able to reconcile with it. Or maybe in a past relationship, they lost someone that was really important to them and they felt rejected. Maybe the person ended up ghosting them or just disappearing. And then they no longer wanted that person in their realm. And so basically this person was rejected, but their sensitivity to it went way overboard. These people oftentimes don't know how to self-soothe, how to comfort themselves. So they begin talking about it. It begins playing over and over in their mind. And if you're dating this kind of person, you really do get to a point where you're kind of tiptoeing on eggshells because you don't always know what's going to trigger them to be so sensitive and react in a way that you were not expecting at all. I do have some things that you and your partner can work through, but mostly I'm going to tell you, if you're a partner who is struggling with this, if you're the one that owns this, that has this, I think it's incredibly important to go to a therapist because you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to be validated for a lot that hurt in your past that you're carrying into this relationship. And not only that, it's going to give you a new awareness so you know how to prevent these episodes or these triggers from totally taking over your life. The first thing I'm going to really suggest you do is that you reframe what you're saying to yourself. You reframe the negative beliefs or whatever was said into a more positive light. Because if you grew up like this, then you are used, your child memories, your child self-talk basically got more adult-like, but it's still reiterating you were rejected, you were left out, and you have to start reframing that in a way, well, this one particular thing, I can see where I could feel rejected, but it's more likely they weren't thinking about that at all. In fact, most people aren't thinking about you at all, or they don't know your inner drive. And so they're just doing what makes their life easier, their work easier, whatever format it was. There are a few people that purposely exclude, but more than likely that's not for most of the cases that people are triggered by who have this disorder. Also, learn emotional regulation. You have got to learn to self-soothe yourself. Take up a meditation class, join a yoga class, start praying, start working with breath work, start using walks outside. Get up when you start hearing those negative voices. Go outside and walk for 10 minutes. It will help minimize them and get them out of the head. The more you start doing to minimize what is happening to you during these triggers, during your replaying of these thoughts in your mind, the healthier you're going to be and the sooner you'll gain control over this. Look at your communication style. When you talk to people, do you allow space for them automatically to reject you? Do you ask questions and then say, or, don't you want to, or something like that? most people will react to what's the easiest. And if you give everybody a way out, or you're not good at holding them accountable and you just go with the flow, more than likely they will leave you out because they think you're easygoing or you're a pleaser and it won't matter. They don't think about your feelings as much. And you have to stand up for yourself. You have to teach others how to treat you. And one of the ways you do those is you make boundaries and you tell people what's okay and what's not okay as far as caring about you or being your friend. And lastly, go to therapy and ask the therapist if there's a support group, because believe it or not, this is more common. And I think a lot of it is because people grew up fast, they were on social media. It's easy to just say or ignore it. People's feelings are hurt. And if you grew up in a family that everybody was busy and you didn't have a mentor who would sit down and really go over and talk to you about your feelings, it's more likely that that's how that developed into a bigger problem than it needed to be in your life. If this video is helpful for you, please subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much.